I kind of got a bit surprised that I was going to be asked about this, because if there's one person that isn't a kite expert, it's me. I don't make kites. I have done. I've made a couple, but not that I would ever trust my cameras to the kites that I make. But one of the things I have chosen to do in my area of photography is to work in a very lightweight and fast fashion. So living in Scotland, I don't have to worry too much about light winds. Generally when I go out there's enough wind, I think, so I don't particularly worry about the KPMs and so on. I tend to know that it's going to lift the camera reasonably well. But I do like to not have to struggle with a kite line. I hate having to play with line handling gear, tying off to the scenery, attaching carabiners or whatever to things. So if I'm going to attach the kite line to anything, I try and attach it to myself. And that characterises some of the equipment and kites that I use, because rather than use a long picave, which means that you have to tie off to be able to get it all set up and suspended, I use an old system, I think was developed by Mark Cottrell in the UK, which is the hosepipe method of attachment. The hosepipe is on the kite line, and it just attaches by friction fit directly. The great thing with this is that when the wind does drop, you can draw the whole lot back to your hand, and you're not going to drag the camera across the ground in the process of doing it. So you can afford to work in a wind that is variable and light, and you can draw the camera back to yourself, and it won't touch the ground. Usually when you can haul in fast enough, I think I did a demonstration last night as I was walking backwards across the room, that you can usually get the camera back, whatever happens with the wind, back to your hand without dragging it along the ground. The other thing is, I'm a messy sort of person, so I deploy things really quickly, and this is that fast to deploy. It comes out of the car and it's straight on. So I know that's a diversion from kites, but it kind of explains why I use the kites that I use. All my lifting is done with 2 kites really these days, and again it's a case of what fits in the car, because I always have the kite gear in the back of the car. And I would say to any capper, if you're really going to do this and you know, go for it, then always have the gear with you, because that's when the opportunities turn up. If you don't have the gear in the car, you'll be cursing at some point. I use a kite identical to this, except the colours are different. This is Kevin's, his lengthy, because I didn't bring my, this is a Devotion to Motion Delta Canine. I believe it's an 8 foot. Obviously the spars aren't up to the wingtips at the moment, but sparred up in carbon. I tend not to trust wooden spars. This one's got the wooden centre spar. That wouldn't matter if it broke anyway, particularly, but I believe, Kevin, if I'm right, these are all carbon spars, the same as mine. I use 2 spreaders, one heavyweight and one lightweight for differing winds. It does help a little bit, and this will fly in a pretty strong wind, and it's still, because it's such a small kite, it's manageable. You can usually get it down without having to walk it down. I tend to pull my line down onto the ground and then spend the next few minutes relaxing after the flight, just winding my line back onto the reel. I like to use a flat reel, kitchen chopping boards. They seem to work nicely for me. I know everybody has a different view on that, so I'm not going to go into that. And when the wind gets a little tougher, I use an absolutely, what we would call in British, a bog standard parafoil. And that's, this is the J15, the 15 square foot parafoil. People that know a lot about kites always say, well, doesn't it fold up? Doesn't it come thundering down to the ground? Not when I have cameras attached to it, it doesn't, because I pretty well make sure what the conditions are like 5 minutes flying before anything gets attached. Unless I'm confident about the wind, then maybe the camera goes on straight away, but an easy kite to fly. It does need all, like these sort of, the Jalbert type parafoil really does need some sort of good tail. I like the fuzzy. I can attach another couple of lengths onto that if I need it, if the wind is particularly gusty or variable. It does the job. It's a simple kite and it's not too expensive. I think I'm on the third or fourth one of these now. I did leave one in a tree some years ago and it's still there, I believe, even to this day. I do have a spare. I usually keep a couple of these. They seem to be harder and harder to get. I can't. The source I've got in the UK is a place in Edinburgh, and they tell me now that they're finding it really difficult to get them. But I believe they're Chinese. I don't go for anything particularly special, but it does the job. Any questions on that? That's my kite piece. Is that more or less what we're looking for? Other kites. Okay, I'll mention anyone here fly stratoscopes before I start? Have anyone continuing to fly stratoscopes? Okay, shall we have a moment session? Yeah. I think that my first kite aerial photography kite was a big stratoscope. I think they call it the S3, and that there was no amount of tail you could put on that to keep it steady in the sky. Tuning it, absolute nightmare. Bridling, very difficult kite to fly, but good exercise. I mean, really good exercise. I had a winch made. I got a blacksmith welder to make me a winch for this thing, and I had a winch made out of one of these sack trolleys, and it had all welded supports and all this sort of thing, and I was using something like 1/4 inch polypropylene, about 600-pound line, you know. That used to be fastened by 3 dog stakes. Well, of course, what I like to do now is the whole system is based around me being able to walk around with the kite in the air, and of course that was just something else altogether. That everything was fixed to the ground. You know, if it wasn't in the right place, tough luck. That dragged all 3 dog stakes out of the ground once and took the winch spinning across the field, and the winch must have weighed 50 pounds. Just awful, nightmare. I love deltas. I've often lifted this rig under a 5-foot. Kevin, help me. What's the name of the guy? Dan Lee Delta. I mean, anyone that's not flown a Dan Lee kite, just buy one for the love of them. They're a beautiful kite to fly. Deltas, foils, Rikakus I have flown, but I don't have a lot of fun with. As I say, if it's got to come out of the car and takes 10 minutes to set up, then I kind of lose interest a little bit. So I like a kite that I can get in the air fairly quickly. But that's again a personal preference, not advice to you people at all.
If you have a Rokaku which is not too large, you can leave the 2 spars, with spars in them, and you just have to put in one long spar.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm very tempted by by a Dobro at the moment. That's
about 15 minutes.
yeah, I know. It takes a while. But I took those pictures on the back yesterday under Kevin's Dobro, and it was just great to fly because there was I could have got the I got both. I got the foil up, but it wasn't lifting enough to hang a camera on.
How is your pipe attached to the fly line?
Can I do a quick demo? Because this is one of these ones. I'm a great salesman for this system because I believe Mark Cottrell invented the most simple suspension system of all because it puts no stress on anything. Let's hope that they're good. Okay. No, the key to this is that I don't need help. You see, it's a one-man system, so. Oh, it's waving around a lot. No, Brooks, I'll do it as a solo effort because I want to show that it is a solo effort.
See how easy it is.
Yeah, well, look at this, picker base tangled all over. Hey. No factionalism today. Okay, kite in air, pulling good. Oh God, it's pulling. Okay, line out, and away we go.
Now, does that slide on the line?
Yeah, it's, the good thing is it's always on the line, so wherever the, at whatever moment you want to attach the kite to the camera to the kite line, these bits of hose pipe are always at your hand.
Did everybody see what he did?
No, we didn't.
There's nothing there.
This is rubber hose.
Can you do it in this direction?
Yeah.
Have you ever let your line out and you found out that you didn't notice and your hose is up there by the kite?
The only time that ever happens is if that is on your bridle. If it's on the loose line, it's fine. And I always roll it a few turns onto the reel when I finish flying. So it's always about 10 feet into the reel. And that's what I saw when I unroll.
So the hose pipe stays on your kite line all
The hose pipe is always there. So whenever the kite's 100 feet up, the hose pipe is always at your hand because it's already been unrolled out and has slid down the line to your hand.
What's the bar made of?
Oh, it's just it's a piece of wooden dowel covered in shiny stuff to make it look richer. Especially for you guys, I mean. Yes, it's just aluminium tape. It's just wooden dowel.
Just solid down.
It's just solid wooden dowel. But I mean, it's fast to get on and off, and you don't need someone to help you. So, and the other good thing about having a dowel holding your suspension is I've always wanted to show this to a group of campers because I just think it's an underutilized system. Is that's what you carry to the field. You know, when you want to use it, you know, you're ready. It's one-man system. It just works that way, doesn't it?
Is there anything particular about the hose that you're using?
It's garden hose.
Just
Yeah, just garden hose. As long as you've got a little taper on the dowel there, so that you can slip. You know, I've just rounded the end off so that you can get a good pressure fit. But the great thing is the line is not under any stress. You're not going around anything. It's Scottish garden hose. Yeah. So I'm going to sell hose pipe. But it literally takes half a minute well, seconds in fact, to attach. I don't know. I just do. One thing I like about it is at foot. So every turn is 2 feet. So you can't, as you're flying, you're kind of counting out the turns. The other thing is it's kind of, you can clip it on and you can cleat it off, which is a bit difficult with the halo reel, you know. But it's just something I found matches the way I like to fly. But you know, other people, I mean, I like the. I used to use a ratchet spool, great. But you know, this is what these are cheap. You know, you go to the kitchen centre and buy a kitchen chopping board, and you make your reels. You know.
Simon, do you want to mention that line we found yesterday?
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
that's right. Now, I use black Dacron braid, you know, 250 pounds. We were at the kite shop in Cannery Road yesterday, and they got some amazing colour. There's a bag there. It's exactly the colour. This blue bag. That colour of line. And it was braided Dacron. You bought it, didn't you? You bought the roll. Worth a look. It's obviously available. It might be worth finding out who actually makes that, because I think that might be an interesting compromise between white and black. Because sometimes the black line shows up. Sky blue is a kind of interesting colour for kite line. Okay, I've talked way too much.